Get into the main topics. Again, light week. Not a lot of news because, again, strikes are not causing a lot of things to be going.
Strike sucks.
Strikes are good, but they suck for everybody.
No, yeah.
Because
I know why
I guarantee
they're there.
you those writers and actors would rather be working. I guarantee you. So, anyway, that means there's some things to talk about. So, normally, we probably wouldn't cover these things. But there were two big fan films that came out in the past couple weeks. I think Superman Solar came out at the end of July, and then last Thursday or last Friday, Spider-Man Lotus was released. So yeah, these are interesting because they're not like Superman Solar is made on a much smaller budget than Spider-Man Lotus, because Spider-Man Lotus was like $120,000 was crowdfunded for this movie. And oh man, there's so much controversy with that movie. But Superman Solar also caught controversy because of the writer and the director, but we'll get into that first. I want to talk about these movies because I sat down, and I'll tell you this, I did not
No, you didn't.
I sat down, turned on my TV, and then watched things. I will tell you this right now. Spider-Man Lotus is a full feature-length, like 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
I did not watch all of it.
Yeah.
I sat down and kind of like scrubbed through and got the bullet points of what was happening. I watched all of Superman Solar because they had the right sense of mind to just make it fucking 29 minutes.
Good on you.
Because they only got like $50,000 to fund this thing.
Okay.
But so I want to talk about the movies, give you my full review of them, and I got a lot of notes, and they're just, it blew my mind watching this movie. But I want to real quickly talk about fan films in general and why we don't really talk about them. There are good fan films out there. I've seen them. There's like a really good Darth Maul one that came out like 10 or so years ago. There's a couple of like cool Halo ones. I saw. Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. I used to watch this thing called like with Superhero Battle or something, like Death Battle or something. It was no, maybe not that, but it was Bat in the Sun Productions anyway. So it was live action, and it actually was like glorified mini fan films, and they're pretty cool. And so I've seen stuff like that. So I'm not. Well, I don't hate on fan films.
No. But one of the very first fan films, and it's pretty famous, is Hardware Wars from the 70s. And these guys decided to spoof Star Wars, and they used all of this stuff, and they actually do an homage to Hardware Wars, I think in the second of the new trilogy, where they have the iron coming down onto the shirt.
I didn't know that.
I
didn't know anything about Hardware Wars.
Really?
We should do a deep dive on this.
Hardware Wars, we can watch it. It's like 3 minutes long. It's fucking great. They do everything, but it's all related to hardware. Yeah. And it's in the 70s, so it's even more like, wow, you guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
that's that was more spoofing something. These are fan films have become way more professional. Produced, they become a lot more serious and whatnot. I mean, these guys just did it just to fuck around.
There's a broader access to visual effects than there ever has been.
Yes.
So there's a lot, and we'll get into that with these movies. But anyway, so Superman Solar got some flack because I saw people sharing it with Spider-Man Lotus, like the racist cinematic universe.
Won't die. Yeah.
But I don't know if I think this guy's racist. I just think. I don't really know.
What happened?
But, well,
what's going on?
So the controversy behind this movie, because both these movies have controversy. The controversy behind this one is writer-director Andrew List, who he's done visual effects before. He's also a veteran, and I only mention that because he makes it part of like one of the things that he talks about. But he had some interesting opinions on his Letterboxd. Are you familiar with what Letterboxd is?
Yeah.
It's like a movie reviewing app. Like
I don't. I think you're talking about widescreen or Letterboxd.
No, Letterboxd is what you do is it's kind of like it's like a movie review social media. So like you go in, you watch a movie, you rate it, whatever stars it is, and you give it like a little review.
Did they have that for music?
What caused his controversy was people noticed that he gave Sound of Freedom 5 stars and said, quote, "See it for yourself. We must protect the children. What a terrifying world that's hidden in plain sight," which made people notice the popular theme in QAnon. So, I don't know. But I don't know if I don't necessarily think this guy is racist. I'm not here to say that. But he's not helping the allegations when you look at things like this. And again, I want to make it very clear. It's okay to not like Jordan Peele's movies. It's okay to not like any movies. Nothing wrong with it. But I just find it fun. People pointed this out, which I did think was kind of funny. And I'm only using this as comedy. But Jordan Peele's Get Out got a 1-star review from this guy. Us was 2 stars. So then people were making jokes like he's not really helping the racist allegation, like as a joke. And then I was like, wait a minute. Is there a little pattern here? So he gives the Batman, but Matt Reeves is the Batman, 2 stars, stating, or maybe, no, it was 3 stars, sorry, stating that Catwoman should have been cut from the movie completely and had her beats in the story reworked, and then made a weird comment of like, oh, she claims to love all these cats, but then all these cats just live in her apartment, and she just leaves them, and they don't get fed or anything like that. And I'm like, it's a weird thing to put in there. And, of course, Catwoman is, what was her name? Zoe
Kravitz.
Kravitz, yes, Zoe Kravitz. And she's, half black. And then some other funny things that I noticed. He gave his own movie when it was on Letterboxd. It got taken off. I don't know why. But while it was on there, he gave it 5 stars and was like, well, I am a little biased, but gave his own movie 5 stars. And then I only bring that up because he says Dune from 2021, he gave it 3 stars. However, he said it was interesting moments, visually beautiful, and relatively pointless film. He also, again, I want to go back to Catwoman. He said her thing was pointless. Somebody pointed this out on Twitter, was like, I love it when someone says something in a story is pointless, but then doesn't describe how it's pointless.
Right.
Because then you could just say every work of fiction is pointless.
Duh.
If you want to look at, and that's a really shitty way to look at life, but that's one way you can do it. I don't know.
That's my
So I want to be
gig,
clear.
right?
His little chunk of controversy is not nearly as big as the Spider-Man Lotus one.
Gotcha.
I know more about that and care more about that than the fucking movie itself. I told you I didn't watch that. I scrubbed through it, got to the beats. I wanted to look at the things I want to look at. Anyway,
So describe.
I watched all of Superman
Solar for us.
So I'm gonna pull up my notes because
Your nuts? You're gonna pull out your nuts?
pull out my nuts.
Holy shit!
Crack 'em.
Wow.
So here we go. Superman Solar. So the movie begins with like this really like twangy, good old fashioned American town guitar, because we're in Smallville, and it's a football Friday night. And on Fridays, the town shuts down. Smallville, Kansas, football town. Smallville Eagles. And I also know that they're only called the Smallville Eagles because of how this opening scene was shot. Clearly, there was a high school football game going on, and that's where this guy got his B-roll from. He just showed up with his camera and just filmed like a chunk of this football game.
Really?
Because it's super long shot, right? At one point, I'm pretty sure you can see the fencing a little bit in the shot. So look, I don't want to hate on it because it's like that's an indie filmmaker move.
Sure, but not really. I mean, yeah.
People do it. It's an event going. It's like going to this, like filming the circus.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
like going to film at the fair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's still, it's still funny because it's like we are a minute and a half into this movie, and you were already like showing me that this is not clearly an authorized thing. And what's even funnier is you can also clearly tell the stitched in later audio where it's like, I don't even think the announcer in the scene, I don't even think says the quarterback's name. He might. I think he says the quarterback's name, but I know for sure when the quarterback throws to the wide receiver, he only says number 19. And then it's like, it's a 10, the 5, touchdown. And it's clearly like somebody just saw this footage, said, hey, get in a booth, record this. He did it. And it's clearly like, didn't even have could have been Johnson or Williams or, any number of names that you could just to be like, number 19. It's like, come on. And maybe that's just having a broadcasting background and knowing things like that.
Yeah,
but it just breaks immersion
Sure.
if you don't even come up with a fake name. Just
That
come
just
up with a
sounds
name.
already like
You don't even need a first
I
name.
don't even want to finish this movie yet. I mean, already. It's a minute in and already.
Yeah, it was. Whoo boy, it
Jeez.
felt.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, and then first shot we finally see Superman in the scene. He's cleaning up crime and doing things. It sounds like he was recorded in a different area than the other person was. Like the sound mixing throughout this whole entire movie. I understand this is a fan film. It's amateur.
Right, but editing.
But dude, he has experience. He has a background in like working with visual effects and stuff. And so he's been in the editing process at some point. You would have to think that somebody would teach it, or he would know, or somebody would teach him how to sound mix. But again, that's also me coming from a place of like audio and sound mixing, and even I have knowledge of that, and even I mess those things up. I understand.
Yeah.
But you could go back in and post and re-record it because it might not. I don't know. There's just clearly this was made with a small budget, but it's just and this is kind of where I go with fan films. It's like, what was the point of this? In a sense of, you want to talk about pointless. Andrew, this is the problem I have with fan films. I understand on some level where these people come from, because I feel like most creative people, if they're really invested in a character or a series, that they can envision themselves writing. You and I have talked about this. I've had ideas for multiple different like DC characters and Marvel characters. Like, this would be a cool story. This would be so. I understand that appeal of making fan films, but at the end of the day, it's like you're putting in all this work, you're doing all this effort, and like maybe you could show it off in a demo or portfolio type deal. But other than that, you can't make money off this. You don't own this property, so why not clearly take that creative spark? So and do something else, do something original.
It's eating away at me. Why the fuck are we watching a football game to start the Superman movie in Smallville?
Just to show off the small town. Well, best part, I forgot. So
is Superman
I'm glad you said
there?
that. I'm glad you said that. Rewind. Clark and Ma Kent, or Martha, are sitting at home because they're the only two people at home right now in Smallville. And she's like, Clark, we're the only two people here. Everybody's at the game or whatever. And he goes, I know, Mom, but I'm working on this. I got to get this done or whatever. And meanwhile, she has like a Superman cape and like some cloth. And she's like, do you have to wear such bright colors?
Oh, my God. This dialogue sounds like shit.
So, let me finish. These bright colors, like the blue and the red and the S on your chest just looks like a bullseye. Blah, blah, blah. And then he comes out and goes, what do you think? And she's like, well, people are definitely going to look at you and listen to you when you talk. And it's like, what are we doing?
What the fuck is this? What is this?
So then here's the best part. So then the fucking logo, boom, in your face. Big dramatic music, no swell, no build, no ramp. It's just fucking logo and orchestra music like Superman Solar, which, by the way, the logo doesn't look bad. I don't think honestly, I think...
Why is it called Solar?
No reason.
What's the point of the movie?
Really
what happens in the movie?
I'll get to it.
Oh, my God.
So...
already, it's just terrible.
Again, the sound mix is all over. Oh, also the guy in the suit. I'm not trying to dock the dude for his physical,
yeah, but you're going to
build.
put Superman, dude.
His physical build, because I am a chunky boy. I know saying that, but I'm just saying this guy was... and not his fault, clearly was in a muscle suit. Like, it's so, like, oh man. There's a scene where he, like, is walking with a hoodie on, clearly wearing the suit on underneath that hoodie because he's not that big when he's not in the suit. And so he just rips the hoodie off, and it looks like a sketch.
So...
But we'll get. I want to develop the story a little bit.
Why is he making this movie? What is the fucking point?
Because you're gonna love it. You're gonna hate it, and I'm gonna love it. Is what's really gonna happen. Also, there's a point where they see a shot of Superman in the air, doing stuff, and there's this couple that's like, "Doesn't that look like Clark?" And they're like, yeah, that is Clark, but we won't tell nobody, and nobody in Smallville will tell anybody because it's the Smallville way. There's like good townspeople. They wouldn't say anything about it. And it's like, okay. And
Is that an allegory about like police violence?
no, I think it's
Try that in a small town. Telling Superman's secret
before
identity.
and so like the beginning of this, we have that big moment where it's his logo. And then we get a montage of Superman being great and everybody loving Superman. But then we also have an intercut with one of these like talking head news segments where the fat white guy was like, he's not from here, so he shouldn't be allowed to have an opinion on what's going on in America, and he shouldn't be able to be Superman.
What the fuck is this that we're watching? What is this?
You know what? I thought that a lot watching this.
Why did
Because you know what it is? It's kind of genius because it's kind of like just stream of consciousness of like Superman stuff.
I guess.
And I will say this. For someone claiming to like the character, I think of the two that we're talking about, Spider-Man and Superman, this one plays truer to Clark Kent and Superman than fucking Spider-Man.
Are you sure? Because the beginning of it sounds shit. Do you have to wear such broad colors?
No, it's not good. None of it's good.
So,
oh my God. And there's a spot in the montage where this kid is playing catch and the ball rolls where Superman is.
No.
And so they want to kind of get a visual effects shot,
No.
but again, it doesn't look great.
No.
So instead of just like running towards the kid,
No.
he jumps like 40 feet in the air and then lands, but then still lands like another 3 or 4 feet away from the kid. I'm like, why do we even do that? Just put them closer together. Why do we even do that shot? And so the whole point of this movie, I'll just get to the point of the movie. So the whole point of this movie, did you ever read Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman?
Yes, one of my favorite comic books
Issue number 10 is a fantastic fucking issue.
Yes.
Clark Kent, Superman talks this girl down from suicide. It's a brilliant issue. It's one of the reasons why All-Star Superman is so fucking good. This fucking movie has the audacity to tackle that storyline. So what we're also I wanted to bring this up too, because this is just, what the fuck are we doing here? So we fast forward after the montage. Superman is broke. We come into his apartment. We get a shot of a clearly someone folded up a paper and just wrote eviction note, or like rent is due on the 1st, not the 9th, Kent, or whatever. Like your rent's late. Letter. Now, with visual storytelling, that's all you need to tell the audience, that he's broke, right? Right? So then Clark Kent sits down in this dingy-ass apartment, sits down, takes his glasses off, throws them down on the couch, and just goes, well, someone's bound to hire you, Clark. You don't have to express the character's thoughts in visual storytelling if you've already established a shot of him seeing that he's broke with the late rent, and then he's defeated when he sits on the couch. That's enough to convey that he's, like, nobody outer monologues like that. If it were like an audio thing, like an audio drama, that would make sense. But this is visual. So there's just shit like that are just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So what are we doing?
Hold on. Let me fucking get to this, man.
No, I'm sorry.
You're trying to rush it.
I'm not. No, I
promise
it sounds so bad, and I feel so bad that you have to watch it all.
I promise you I will. I'm close to the end because it's not very long. It's
exactly. It's 29 minutes. Where the fuck are we going?
So by the way,
this is what you're gonna feel like every minute of Pride of the X-Men.
In this 29 minutes,
yeah,
he manages to find a job for the Daily Planet in a newspaper, and they never specify what year this is taking place, but he calls her on a current smartphone.
Okay.
So you're telling me in 2023 he's looking for jobs in the newspaper? There's just little details like that.
Also, is this at the beginning of Superman's career or midway?
I don't know.
You gotta fucking tell us where he's at.
The movie doesn't tell you. So the movie at this point is telling you that Superman has existed long enough to get a following from the people of Smallville, and he's showing up on TV, but yet he's still broke. He hasn't reached the Daily Planet yet. Whatever.
You said this was true?
No, there's moments that you can tell. I don't want to say truer, but I want to say you can tell there's a heart behind it. He kind of,
if not a brain.
You can't make a good Superman movie with $50,000. I'm sorry.
Are you sure? I could make a better fucking movie.
Because you know what happens? You have these two movies, two fan films that are about two characters that are it's similar in a lot of ways, but very different in a lot of ways, where you have two fan films where they both kind of have a similar plot where they're talking to some dying kid or some. So this movie, the whole point of it is Superman is trying to talk this kid out of committing suicide. They go to the top of a building on a very obvious green screen. I mean, like, it's like, what are we doing? And so again, he's trying to do a little bit of that Grant Morrison storyline
in a muscle suit.
Yeah. And how the movie unfolds is Superman's giving flashbacks, which is, again, something similar to what Spider-Man Lotus does, which is funny to me. But it's just so in these flashbacks we find his first meeting with Lois Lane, and it is it's really interesting. No, the first flashback we get is him with Pa Kent, and it is clearly this was made with friends and family and not actors, and I don't want to say that to be mean to these people, but wow. This is supposed to be this big inspirational scene. And by the way, because we don't know what timeline we're at, where Superman is in his life, he's just wearing a backwards hat with a Smallville shirt underneath like a jean jacket to maybe suggest that he's in high school, but it's the same actor that's playing Superman now. I just had to bring that up because it made me laugh, because the whole time I'm like, he just has a backwards hat on that makes him younger. So then after that, we come back, and then he's like, yeah, he's still talking to the kid. The kid's like, I don't know, I still want to end it all. So then we go to another flashback. It's Lois Lane where we meet in this. And I got to say this right now. Lois and Clark, no fucking chemistry in this movie. None. And again, it's just, this is what happens when you do a movie like this with not real actors. Quote of this. So she's also very combative because she's a member of the press, so she has to be combative to Superman. Pretty much saying like, oh, well, what makes you decide? He goes, I'm not here for any political reasons, or I don't have any agendas. I'm just here to do what's right. And then she goes, who says what's right? And he goes, well, I do. And she's like, well, wouldn't that make you like a dictator or whatever? And they go back and forth. And the final quote that made me laugh, quote, Lois Lane, no one asked you to do this. Superman, no one asked me not to. Cut back to talking to the kid again. Then we get another flashback, and the big fight that we're going to see here is in a desert with Brainiac. And I can't tell you how bad of a fight scene this is. And so they fight. He lands, hands shaking. We get a POV shot from the back of Clark's head. His hands are shaking with blood on them. And we look at his face, but no blood on his face for continuity's sake. And he's clearly standing in front of a green screen. And he goes, I should thank you, because before nobody could move me, let alone throw me. I didn't even know I could bleed. But, that makes me more like, if I do bleed, that makes me more human than I know. And blah, blah, blah. And that also means, I lured you away in this desert, and now I don't have to hold back. And then shoots laser beams out of his eyes so hard that it shoots. There's a shot of the Earth, and you still see the laser beam and fire coming out of the Earth. I shit you not.
Whoa, that's stupid.
Then it cuts back, and the kid's like, well, how'd you know to do that? How'd you know that'd work? And he's like, I didn't. I was scared, and I just had to trust myself. And then the whole thing is like, he just keeps telling this kid, just don't give up. That's the whole running theme. So this kid is on the brink, and he keeps saying, don't give up. Just give it one more time. And it's like, again, they're trying to get it to a message, but it's just not executed well.
This movie is so bad that you telling me about it makes me not like you.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
Like, I don't like you right now.
I already told you about it.
You dragged it on. And it was crap, and there was no reason.
Because I wanted you to know what I had to go through.
I did.
You understand now?
Yes.
You understand
sucks.
the sacrifice. So okay.
I appreciate all that you do for our show.
That was 29 minutes. Dude. So the movie ends, right? Superman, the kid doesn't kill himself. Superman goes on being Superman. Blah, blah, blah. Mid-credits scene. There's 2 cutscenes in this.
No.
2.
Why?
2.
What are they trying to say?
I wanted to describe this to you. But also, there's an outer monologue where Superman says, humans are perfect because they're imperfect, by the way.
Fuck off.
So 2 fucking post-credit scenes.
Why?
First one, mid-credit scene. Lex Luthor is waiting for Superman on a random rooftop somewhere. And this conversation,
Tyler,
Tyler, look at me. I want you to look at me. I want you to understand this. This conversation's happened on random rooftop, right? And clearly the director was trying to make this conversation a little bit more interesting because he was trying to set up something that he doesn't even know if he's going to be able to make, right? So they're just talking about nothing. And he's trying to get 2 shots out of this, but doesn't understand the lighting and the time of day. So one shot, normal. Second shot, they're just silhouettes. And then it cuts back to another shot. This conversation is happening this whole time. And then they just had this conversation, and Superman's like, "Hey, I'm onto you, man. I don't like it." And Lex Luthor's like, "Oh, it's just friendly competition." And Superman's like, "I'm not competing. I don't know what you're talking about." And they're like, "Whatever." Then it just
why?
Then it cuts to a LexCorp lab. Then it cuts to a LexCorp lab, and he finds his fucking power armor, and that's what that sets up. Then we have more. We've had the full credits. Then at the post credits, you better believe I just skipped to the post credits. Superman is walking, and it's raining and thunder and lightning, and it's just dark, and Superman's walking in a random alley.
Black Adam.
Listen, he's walking in a random alley, and guess what he finds in this alley? Maybe he's in Gotham because he finds a batarang, and then looks into the sky, and there's a bat signal, and then that's it. That's the stinger. That's the final cut scene, the last fucking thing you see, and I just. Kudos to the balls on that guy.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. All right, so that is Superman
that
Solar.
That movie was so bad. The description, not the description.
I checked the time twice.
You gave such a good description of the movie that I can tell how bad it was.
Yeah, yeah. It's a it's a movie. And I don't know what this whole controversy. I don't know if this person is a QAnon person.
Maybe the controversy is you should not make movies because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, good for you for trying.
I want to make it clear.
But these are basic fucking rules of cinema.
Look.
Basic fucking rules.
I don't
continuity.
We're just talking about it like we would a normal movie. I don't want to I don't really care about this dude's Letterboxd reviews. I just thought it was funny. I don't know what their political views are. I don't care. I just didn't try to watch this, and I don't want to. I feel bad for shitting on it because I respect that he did it. And
yeah,
that's awesome that he did it.
But it's the room of superhero movies,
and it's like, dude,
it's bad.
That's. I feel like
bad.
if you get a chance to raise $50K, or in the Spider-Man movie's case, 120 some K, you should have crowdfunded that for something original, or tried to do so. And I know it's so much easier to rely on a like Superman, these iconic characters for so many years, but you can't make money on that. And I'm not saying like from his, I'm not saying to create things for profit. You don't make art for profit. And I understand that. But at the same time, if you're going to hire a crew and shoot this shit and do trying the best you can, why not do it something with something that you created, Yeah. And I don't know. Again, I understand the want to do it. I thought I wrote some scripts for fan films that I wanted to make.
I want to do covers on my albums and shit because it would be easier. Well, not easier, but I mean, you have a song already written by somebody else and recorded.
You love these characters.
You love this music. You love these songs. But the legalities of the thing, I wouldn't be able to sell.
Yeah.
I'd have to pay for 25 streams, and that's like $100.
And I think everybody should get paid for their work if they're going to work on a movie or an album or whatever it is.
The point is that it's cheaper for me to make my own shit than to try and cover other stuff. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.